so that's my name, but it's pronounced Neri, so just carry on. So I know there was an acknowledgement of country earlier on, but given the subject matter of my talk, I think it's best that I also do another one of mine. So I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land we're on today, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation. As I talk about the erasure of queer spaces in my talk, I also want to recognise the ongoing erasure of First Nations histories, cultures and spaces, because one cannot be separated from the other. So this is my talk. It's called Gentrification, Glitterdashing and Gay Panic on Oxford Street. So essentially, it's my love letter to queer spaces, and it's filtered through the lens of Oxford Street. It's a bit nostalgic, a little bit frustrated by gentrification, and it's topped off with a healthy dose of my own gay panic. And the combo is essentially McDarmy from RuPaul's Drag Race holding up that horrible protect queer art sign, and then Paul Rose from Titanic essentially telling everyone she rooted the homeless to and then drowned. So that's the vibe that we're going for. So strap in or strap on, people's choice. There is going to be some really awkward British humour, so I'm really sorry. Speaking of which, I fully appreciate the irony of a British person standing here talking about the erasure of cultural spaces. The colonialism of it all is not lost on me. But queer erasure isn't just a thing of the past, it's happening right now. And if queer history's taught me anything, it's that we as queer people do not go down without a dramatic monologue. So I'm going to wrap this one up real quick, and then in true queer fashion, we can all go down together. Okay, so Oxford Street's more than just a street to me. From Soho to the Castro, queer neighbourhoods are more than just streets. They're living histories of resistance, celebration, and community. And in Sydney, Oxford Street and its surroundings embody all of this. It's a playground, a grotesque route, a sanctuary, and a glitter-drenched time capsule of queer life. For me, it's all of these and more, and I hope for some of you tonight it is as well. Oxford Street stretches from Hyde Park to Bondi Junction. For the size queens in the room, that's 4.3 kilometres. That's a 4.3 kilometre strip of reinvention and queer history. It's basically the Kylie Minogue of Sydney streets. It began as an ancient Gadigal pathway, a vital track long before colonisation came in. Paved over in 1811, it became a colonial thoroughfare, and later a bustling hub of commerce and entertainment. By the 1950s, as queer life was forced underground due to the threat of criminalisation, hotel bars became secret sanctuaries, quietly laying the foundation for its transformation into our very own queer haven. Capriccio's was the street's first openly gay bar, opened in 1969, with Ruby Reds opening in 1976, and the first Mardi Gras march through in 1978. By the 1980s, Oxford Street became known as the Golden Mile, where visibility was defiance and simply walking along it was an act of resistance. Fast forward to 2011, I was a young, unknowingly closeted British architecture student living in a tiny terrace just a stone's throw away from Oxford Street. My journey of self-discovery began at Fitness First, Bondi Junction.
Didn't at all.
Level 6, 500 Oxford Street. Not anymore. It was there that a Brazilian PT named Paulo strode across the gym floor, his impossibly sculpted glutes leading the charge. I felt my mind and other parts of me respond in ways I hadn't anticipated. I almost fell off the treadmill trying to process what was happening. Was I bi? Am I gay? These questions lingered, and the need for answers and further examples of glorious glutes dragged me further down Oxford Street. It wasn't long before I would have more of my own queer firsts, moments that would become an undeniable part of my own queer history. The Stonewall Hotel was the first gay bar I ever stepped foot into. The Columbian was where I had my first date. Upstairs at the midnight shift, which is now universal, was where I shared my first kiss. And along Oxford Street, for the first time ever, a boy's hand found my first love. And it was here on Oxford Street as well that I experienced my first heartbreak, when I had to let go of not just that hand, but of him and the life we could have had, lost to my expiring visa and the impossible distance that soon followed. That was my first time living in Australia, and it lasted just 1 year. And now, over 14 years later, I've come crawling back for seconds. In my years away, I've lost my hearing, qualified as an architect and put on a few kilos. Far from the bleached blonde gin twink who was terrified of his straight colleagues finding out he might not be straight. Now, I'm an out and proud, gay, deaf architect. I'm an intentionally hairless bear with some self-assurance and a glow-up, not from the gym, but from finally knowing who I am. And this time, as I walk down Oxford Street, I fully embrace that truth, and it feels really, really good. Oxford Street, however, seems to be going through an identity crisis. The street I knew 14 years ago is barely recognisable now. The once vibrant Golden Mile of queer spaces has lost over 50 venues since the 1980s, 12 of which have disappeared in the last decade alone. In their place are spaces that feel anything but queer. Oxford Street didn't need another straight nightclub with a French name where patrons thought slurs were just banter, especially one that occupies the spot of the first openly gay bar on the strip, an absolute travesty. In addition to this, policy changes, unchecked developments and rising rents are eroding queer spaces, and sometimes, whether we intend to or not, our work as architects plays a contributing factor. We claim to be stewards of place, but what does it say when the spaces that foster queer belonging disappear, sometimes at our own hands? And with queerness becoming more mainstream, we're left asking, do we as queer people really need our own spaces? Spoiler alert. Yes, we fucking do. This isn't new, it's happened before, and when Oxford Street started changing, many turned to Newtown instead. In the 1980s, Newtown became a vibrant queer hotspot as crowds drifted from Oxford Street to venues like Cachini's and the Newtown Hotel. And by the 1990s, its scene thrived with landmarks like the Imperial and the Sly Fox. But Sydney's late 2000s lockout laws brought an influx of non-queer partygoers and rising anti-LGBTQIA+ violence. In response, the Keep Newtown Weird and Safe campaign emerged in 2016 to protect and celebrate the area's queer identity amid ongoing gentrification, and these efforts have had an effect. Data from the 2016 and 2021 census surveys confirm what many suspected, that Oxford Street is losing its queer community. Nearly 750 same-sex couples, sorry, that's very tall, have left in that 5-year period, and while Newtown and the surrounding suburbs have either held steady or grown in number. Coincidence? Doubtful. The evidence points to what I have affectionately termed a glitterdash, a queer Brexit of sorts, where LGBTQ plus communities, pushed out by soaring rents and straight club takeovers, relocate in search of new spaces, as their once thriving neighbourhoods are eroded by heteronormative influences and the commodification of queer culture. Looking at you, hen parties treating drag queens as props for their drunk selfies. So here's the bottom line. Queer spaces matter, full stop. Queer spaces aren't just neon-lit bars, they're our bookshops where queer stories take centre stage. They're late-night takeaways where friendships become chosen family, and workplaces where we stopped hiding and started being seen. Erasing these spaces erases proof we were ever here, and they're never just given to us, we have to claim them through protest and the sheer audacity to exist. Sydney, but more specifically Oxford Street, introduced me to a version of myself I hadn't yet met. Now when I walk down Oxford Street, I wonder who's discovering parts of themselves they never knew existed because of this place. But Oxford Street is just one of many like this. So now I turn this to you. What queer spaces do you hold dear? Walk through them in your mind. Feel the weight of the memories, the people, the moments, the quiet freedoms. And now imagine if they vanished tomorrow. What would you do to bring them back? Or what would you wish you'd have done to keep them in the first place? Love letters like mine aren't just about honouring the past, they're about ensuring there's something left to love in the future. Thanks.
Please keep the applause going for Joshua.